we're going live.
Good evening. Welcome to New Tracks. My name is Jim Kello, and I'm your host for this evening. New Tracks is where mentors help modelers build. Our goal is to encourage model building and help modelers like you develop the modeling skills, techniques, and most importantly, the confidence every one of us needs to build the models we really want. We want you to experience the thrill of saying, I built that. On each New Track show, the best model railroaders demonstrate Well, Phil, I don't know what happened, but it's the video has. Good evening. Welcome to New Tracks. My name is Jim Kello, and I'm your host for this evening. New Tracks is where mentors help modelers build. Our goal is to encourage model building and help modelers like you develop the modeling skills, techniques, and most importantly, the confidence every one of us needs to build the models we really want. We want you to experience the thrill of saying, I built that. On each New Track show, the best model railroaders demonstrate innovative new products, modeling techniques, new technology, and answer your modeling questions. New Tracks is a great opportunity to have talented modelers become your mentors. If you're new to the show, welcome. If you've been with us before, welcome back. We hope all of you come back often and tell your friends to join us. We currently have over 1,000 subscribers on either our website or our YouTube channel. We hope that you'll become a subscriber. And on YouTube, all you have to do is go to our channel, New Tracks Modeling, and click on the subscribe button, ring the bell, and check all. You'll receive all the notices for the future shows and the login links. We currently have over 300 YouTube videos that you're also able to see a lot of the past shows. On Zoom, you can watch, ask questions, speak to other modelers, show your modeling live, and participate in the lively after show. To join on Zoom, all you have to do is go to our website, newtracksmodeling.com, check subscribe. You'll get an email from the website. You'll confirm the email, then you're officially subscribed and you'll get all of the future notices. Please feel free to share the login links that you receive either on Zoom or YouTube with your friends and encourage them to join us and participate in our shows. Finally, if you want to be a guest presenter and show your models and techniques, we have several ways that you can do that. Send me an email to Jim Kello at newtracksmodeling.com and let's discuss. I really prefer the telephone for something like this. And if you'll send me your telephone number in that email, I'll give you a call back. Or if you'd like to donate a little bit of your time and volunteer to help us with our events or our YouTube video productions or the website, or just to give us ideas for future shows, please send me an email about this to the same address. Well, thanks so much for being here tonight. Now let's get on with tonight's show.
I lost recording permission.
I don't know what we can do. You can run that again if you want to, Earl, and tack it on. Would that be possible?
I can send you that, Earl, and we can add it on.
Okay, let's do that. And let me.
Yeah, and I've got the other one. That was the previous version. I don't know what happened here. It was the wrong version. Anyway, we'll see next week. Bye.
Okay. Anyway, we're trying to develop this. Anyway, we're trying to develop this video for our introduction. And Phil, I can't thank you enough for coming up with this. And we will get it perfect. It may take us a time or two, but we're working on it. We also have two other new volunteers that are helping us now. Dennis Camper, who's an IT guy from the UK, and Chris Smith, who is an Nscaler, who's also interested in P48 and operation of Nscale. And he's going to be working with Phil and with Ken on actually running our shows. So thank you both for volunteering. We still need more, but thank you so much for your offer of help. Also, as of last week, we've included the after show that's moderated by Clark Cooning in MMR, and it's on right after the completion of this show, but there's no break. It'll be recorded on the end of this show, and the people on YouTube and Zoom will be able to see the complete regular show as well as the after show that Clark will be doing. And Clark, I really do appreciate you doing this for us, because I really do think that it brings something fresh to the show. Well, with those things announced, let me talk about the build-alongs that are coming up. November the 10th, we have two starting. Dave Schultz is building the new All Nations waffle side boxcar. And I really appreciate John Wubel, who's the new owner of All Nation, offering to do this for us as soon as he did, because he's just trying to get the All Nation company back into the market. And it's a real chore because it's been out of the market for some time. And I think that you're really going to enjoy the new kit that he's put out. And I know that Dave will do a great job in building it. Also, and that'll be an O-scale kit. Also on November the 10th, Nick Massey, the owner of ITLA, who is with us this evening, and I want him to talk in just a minute. The ITLA scale models, the builder is Brian Schilling, and they're going to be building an HO scale kit. Nick, thanks so much for being here. If you'd like to talk about it a little bit.
Thank you, Jim. Yep. Would you like me to do that right now, Jim?
Yeah, please.
Okay, great. Thanks. Thanks for the opportunity, Jim. I'm going to share my screen out, and I got a quick little slideshow I can provide for everybody here. Would you guys give me some feedback? Can you see that?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay, awesome. Thank you very much. So again, Nick Massey here, ITLA Scale Models. Jim, thanks for the opportunity for the build event. This image here and the images you're going to see here following represent our HO scale introductory building kit. And I've called it that because it represents many of the features that we build into all of our products. Also, notable, it's laser engraved wood. It's a masonry structure, which perhaps not too many people have attempted in laser cut wood or attempted to build in laser cut wood. So I think this is going to be a great opportunity for people to try one of our kits and try building a masonry structure in laser cut wood. As Jim mentioned, it'll be featured in the Build Along event on November 10th by accomplished model builder Brian Schilling. And he's going to do a great job. I'm sure I'll be in the background to help him out if he needs, or just add some comic relief, whatever works. The fine details and the reliefs in this model are evident in some of these photos here, and they're 3D laser engraved into the surface of the kits, and they represent weathered masonry, concrete, brick, even some steel rebar shows through on this particular model. Easy to paint. The one thing I hope that you'll take advantage of here is the opportunity to try this kit and learn how easy it is to paint these structures in this medium. Rattle can spray paints are what we tend to go to as a base coat, and then you just basically apply simple water-based acrylics. The neat thing about this material is that you get a really matte finish, a realistic matte finish that represents masonry and brick so well. It also, the wood also provides an excellent grip for pigments and chalks, and also primary coloring using those elements as well. Wood is very easy to cut and shape, as you know. It's a variety of hand tools. It bonds together very well with PVA white glues. We recommend Weld Bond or Tight Bond 2, and some super glues even work well on this product. And one key that I'll show you here in a moment is that there's no internal bracing required on these models. So if you're accustomed with some basswood build products and things such as that, or balsa even, you'll know that you need to brace your background, brace your walls, and prevent warping after paint. So turning the page here, I mentioned painting assembly will be demonstrated by Brian. I also have various tutorials available on the website as well that you can leverage from our home page. So simple rattle can spray paint was used in this particular model. Acrylic washes were put on afterwards to highlight some of that spalling brick surface that you see there. And that kind of brings the surface to life. And then some powders were used, your traditional powders and chalks to highlight rust streaking and things such as that. The signs that you see in here are also just colored paper sign included with the kit as well. So some of the quick features, and you can see the kit in its expanded form in this image here. Precise and repeatable fit, quality materials, and easy to build kit. It's 3 inches by 3 inches by 4 inches high. Very little parts cleanup, easy to paint using the techniques I just mentioned. The walls feature a tab and slot construction in MDF wood, very solid, very robust. But a notable here also is that it is configurable as well. So not only could you build the building as I've shown it in the picture here, but you could also build it as a background flat, and by opening all those walls up. And if you look at the left and right hand side of that parts carrier sheet, you'll see 1/2-inch sidewall returns that I include in the kit as well. So if you want to build a shallow relief or a flat, you can do so with this kit as well. 12 inches long by 1/2 inch wide by 4 inches tall. 3D laser engraved walls in MDF. I mentioned birch plywood trim parts layer on top of that. And then we use laser board for the window frames and a whole host of wall detail parts. There's separate window sills and headers, and that's another key point about a lot of our products, that you can basically paint those window sills and window headers separately from your main wall. So you don't have to worry about any masking. You get a nice, clean, and crisp look when you assemble those parts. Color sign sheet included as well. So again, a special offer to our NewTrax viewers. Enjoy a 25% off discount on this particular kit until November 7th. So $29.99 is the kit price. After that discount, just enter the code NewTrax in your shopping cart, and then that'll check you out. So I want to thank you again, Jim, for the opportunity to present this to the audience. And you can find us at this website, www.itlascalemodels.com. And I hope you'll give our product a shot, and I hope you'll watch our build along and enjoy what you see. Thanks very much. Yes, sir.
Any opportunity of maybe doing other scales besides HO?
At this point in time, I don't have anything else that I can line up. I'm sorry. I don't have anything at the top of my mind at the moment anyway.
Okay, just curious.
Let me think. I'll promise you this. I'll give it some thought and see what I can offer. It may not be a structure kit. It might have to be something different. Okay.
That would be interesting, I think, if you could. Anyway, Nick, I really do appreciate you being here tonight. I think this is exactly the kind of presentations that I was kind of hoping for when I started these, to try to get the manufacturers out talking about their kits from their perspective, and trying to tell people, you know, this is not rocket science we're dealing with
Yeah.
here. This is something that's doable. It's something that you'll enjoy. And when you finish it, boy, there is certainly something to be said about being able to say, I built that.
Absolutely. Pride of accomplishment, right, Jim?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So Nick, thanks so much for being here this night. I look forward to your segments.
You're welcome. Thank you very much.
And I'd like to remind the other manufacturers they're welcome to do what Nick just did, and I encourage you to do it. You know, the time is there. I'll make space available, whatever we have to do, because this is exactly the kind of help that we're trying to get for these series. We're trying to get people to build models, to just give it a try. It's not rocket science. It's a lot of fun, and there is a great thrill associated with it. So that's November the 10th. Both of these build-alongs are going to start, both All Nation as well as ITLA scale models. Then December the 1st, BANA models with Bill BANA is teaming up with Clark Kooning in MMR for a build-along, and that's an in-scale kit, I believe. And then January the 26th, Chris Kos is the owner of Conowingo Models, is going to be building one of his kits. February the 23rd, Bruce Nicholson, the owner of Seaport Model Works, is going to build one of his kits for us. I really hope that you'll consider participating in all of these if you can, or at least some of them. Because again, the manufacturers, the builders that are taking their time and putting forth their effort, this is trying to help you become a better modeler and for you to be able to really understand what's involved in building models that are made today and to, again, have that thrill of saying, I built that. Now I'd like to talk about the My Build that's coming up October the 27th with our moderator, Chris Kos. So Chris, if you'd like to take over now and discuss that for us.
Sure. Thanks, Jim. First of all, I'd like to thank Martin. I'm not sure he's up, but probably is. But anyway, I wanted to thank Martin for giving us some good publicity this month with the O-Scale magazine. He reviewed our Gray Street house in O-Scale. So I appreciate that very much. Then we will go on to oh, the crap. What did I do here? Sorry. And everything is not going my way tonight. There we go. All right. Apologize for that. And we will go to the My Build slide here. There we have it. Hope everybody sees that.
Yep.
Of course, the My Build is featuring you. We strongly encourage you to go ahead and send me to that email address you see there, railrunner130@hotmail.com. Send me photos of kits that you're working on, or maybe something you need, a locomotive that you're happy with, something along those lines. It doesn't matter what it is. Also, keep in mind, we have a $50 a drawing for a $50 gift certificate at Hunterline that could be used on any of their products. And so really all you have to do for that, to be entered into that, is send me a picture. It does not have to be finished. A picture of a Hunterline trussel kit in some form. I don't want to see the box, but if as long as you've got something going to show that you're doing it, I think the great folks at Hunterline, Rick and Maureen, would love to see what you're working on and how your stuff appears. Lastly, I want to talk about the build along that we'll be doing. I actually have the kit over my shoulder. Actually, it's two of them. So we're going to be in HO and O scale. I'm hoping to have it. The first one's done in about a month. Things have just been crazy around here lately. But I'll give you a couple of hints. Well, not really hints, but I'll give you some information. It's Kello Station, after, of course, Jim Kello. And since he is a traction guy, it's going to be a traction station. So
Okay.
stay tuned for that. So I'll give it back to you, Jim.
I appreciate it. I'm looking forward to getting more details about it. I've got an article that I've got to submit to a magazine here in the first of next week. If you can give me the details of it, I'll include it in the article for you, Chris. Everybody may not know, but the first person that stepped up to do a build along for our show was Chris. And he and Greg Cassidy, Greg was the modeler, Chris was the manufacturer, and they agreed to try it out. We had no idea what would happen, if anybody would be interested or not, but it was a success, so we decided to continue it. But Chris is the one that was the guinea pig to create the build along segments for us. If you've got a modeling question on our website, we have a form. All you have to do is fill it out, say what your question is, and send it. As soon as I get it, you'll get an answer back. Probably won't be from me, but it'll be somebody on the show. Or if it is from me, it'll be somebody that has agreed to do a special segment because enough interest seems to be out there for that kind of a question to generate it being a special segment on our show. But if you have a question, we'd love to hear it. We'd love to hear from you. And like I say, the form is easy to fill out on our show. One of the things that we have special coming up, I'd like to mention, is on March the 23rd of next year. This is going to be a special program, and it came out of the correspondence and the comments that I've received over the last week after Todd was on talking about his in-scale layout and what he's accomplished last week. On March the 23rd, we're going to have, as it stands right now, 4, but I plan to have 5 people in a round table. 4 have already committed. And the 5th one, I think, is I'll have that person by the end of this week. And what we're going to do, the subject to be discussed is in scale today. And from what the input that I'm getting from the show that Todd did last week and from talking with Todd, in scale today is totally different from any in scale that I've ever thought about or had anything to do with. You can operate with it, you can switch with it. The engines are just unbelievably good as far as operating is concerned, sound is concerned. The cars stay on the track, the wheels are good, the couplers work, the track, there's all different kind of track out there, and there's all different kind of help out there. It's just a totally different scale than what I experienced with many years ago when I couldn't get the train to go around to circle a track more than once. So I really hope that you'll tune in for that March 23rd show, because I really think it's going to open a lot of our eyes on what is possible and what's being done today in scale. So now I'd like to go to Paul Thompson for his quick tip of the evening. Paul, welcome.
Great, thank you, Jim. Let me see if I can get the screen up here. And this is truly a quick tip. As you're all probably familiar, this is electrical tape, and we use it for all kinds of things, from the car outside to under your layout. However, one of the things I discovered was this stuff comes in various colors. And I actually have yellow and green somewhere around here that I'm using, but this makes it rather easy for a couple of things that we can use it for, such as labeling. If you've got wires that are the wrong color, or you don't have a coloring system for your wires, you can put on labels with this stuff, and temporary or sometimes more permanent. And it makes it great for that. The other thing that one of the uses I use it for is identifying equipment when I go to a show or whatever. Just put on a tag, and anything with red on it, you know it's yours, and hopefully nobody else does the same. However, it's just a couple of the uses of a very common item, and it's something to consider. Thanks very much, guys.
Well, thank you so much, Paul. That's a great idea. I just thought it came in black. I didn't know it came in colors.
It can be found.
Thank you. Well, now let me turn to our special segments for this evening. The first one is Andy's Op Corner. Andy, I really do appreciate, I know you've got other things to do this evening, and I really do appreciate you taking the time to be with us tonight. Remember, in December, we got Andy for the whole show. He's going to be running his railroad from an operational standpoint for us. So Andy, welcome and thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Jim. You can hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good, thanks. Let's see, crew call board. Okay, tonight I'm going to talk about something near and dear to me since we came up with it, because I always run the op sessions. I don't get to run trains. I just try and keep up with everything. And we came up with the crew call board, and it's just really been welcomed by all the crews, by all the people. It really helps them out. It certainly helps me out trying to run it and that. So I'm kind of going through things here to let you know what we, let's see, there we go. You see that all right?
Yes.
Okay, good. So I've been working on this plus the card waybill program, and they kind of, they're close to each other in some of these slides. So I hope I don't get sidetracked and screw this up. So I'm still in the process of finishing that one up. Okay, so it's a tool to help manage your operating session. And as I said, I was really happy when we came up with it. It made a big difference for me and for the crews. An operating manager he stays pretty busy, and he's got a lot of things to keep up with to make sure that the trains run on time and the operation's successful. On the Nashville Road, the operations manager, we coined it Train Master, and came up with that from the ProTrack program that we used for years. It was a computer-based car forwarding. It managed the railroad, and we called the person that printed out all the forms, the documents, kept everything up to date in the computer as we operated. We called him the Train Master. And of course, we had dispatchers and yard masters and everything else apart from that. Okay, so the manager or train master, he assigns train crews to their trains. He assures train crews understand their jobs. Assures the dispatcher understands his job and his schedule. Assures the yard masters, we've got 3 yard masters, understands their job and their schedules, because the railroad will fall down really fast if they don't know what they're doing. And I found in the past, I tell someone they're a yard master, I figure they know what they're doing, and then I forget about it, and it can go to heck in a handbag really quick. And the last thing, anybody that runs op sessions knows what this is all about. This is really important. Okay, so there are different ways to organize and track these duties to help you. And I, in the past, used a clipboard, a notebook, a very faulty memory, and none of them worked very well. So we went ahead and developed the call board, and this isn't anything that we invented. Real railroads had call boards. It might be a little different than ours, but ours is designed for model railroad operations. And as almost always the case, well, as I said that already, I'm sorry, we'll go on to the next. So this is our call board. It's 3 panels, 2 by 3 feet each panel. I bought these at Walmart for, at the time, it was somewhere around $15 a piece. I have no idea what they are now, or if they even got them in stock, because I'm sure they all came from China. They're built on a track, or they're set in on a track, so they can be pulled out if we need to pull them out for any reason. And I designed these panels with the idea of the crews. being able to help me take care of them, and it's worked out very well. I use the detail striping tape that you can buy at the auto parts store. I bought black, a couple of different thicknesses. I used plastic for the name tags and the train tags and the crew name tags and the other little tags, and put magnets. I bought quite a few magnets through Amazon over time and glued them all up. And this board here, I'll use my my cursor here. This will hold 29 trains on the schedule. And that usually takes care of us. We might have 1 or 2 trains left over. But normally we can pretty well get done with it. And we have 2 sessions a month, or at least we have had, and we plan to do it again. And the Monday session is the old timer session, since the young people are working. And we run from 11 to 4, a 5-hour shift. And then Saturday sessions for everybody, but more young people come to it. And we start at 10, go to 4. It's a 6-hour session. The guys take their breaks when they want in the break room and just sign up for the trains when they want. I put this in the middle right here just to let you see how it should look after they run. So Roger A ran the South Ribo. He went on duty at 9:45 and got left there, quit 11:45. And down here I see I should have had an A, and I put P's in there, but you get the idea what this is. And let me go to the next one. It's a little closer now. So each one of these gives a call time for the train. Now I know call time on a railroad is different than this, but for what we need, it works well. The crews know what time they're supposed to be departing with their train. The train ID, MAD PM, Cedar Ribo, the Rock Island 986, these are all kind of coded in a way, but it'll tell you over here on the right side what kind of train it is, where it's a transfer, a turn, an extra freight, a switcher, where the train is located. So the COL is the south end of the railroad. That's Columbia, Tennessee. And, oh, I'm sorry, I was hoping to go down a little bit. Bowling Green is the north end of the railroad. So those are the extents of the railroad from north to south. And then we have also the L&N has a staging track at Guthrie, and they come out onto the main at Guthrie, and then NC St. Louis at Franklin. And I added them in there for just for the crew being able to have a nice run in that enjoyment. It's not based on anything that's in Tennessee per se. It's our little version. So this is a picture I took of one of the last ones we had about 1.5 years ago. Some guys, they didn't get everything filled in, but for the most part, you can see the guys filled them in, put their names down after they pulled their tags off. We had a couple of trains that never really ran, the 2 bottom ones here. So they're put up at the top on the next session, and then we start adding in all the new ones. And the reason I like to take pictures, in case we had a problem, I can go back and look, or if I wondered if I should change the schedule of a train, take a look and see how long it took them to run that train across the railroad or to do their job. So it's kind of handy to have this. Okay, the center panel now has 3 parts to it. And first is dispatcher and yard assignment. We do have 3 yards, Gresham Yard, Cedar Hill Yard, and Ribo Yard. And then Nashville Union Station, or passenger terminal, is not in operation yet, but we'll have people assigned there. They have the yard masters, and then whoever signs up to be their crew. And then over here, the dispatcher, John Young was dispatcher. He didn't have an assistant, but someone was sitting with him. One of the guys that just likes to work with a dispatcher. We didn't put his name in that day. And station operator, we actually have a desk out on the railroad, and dispatcher has phone contact with him, and he can actually dictate the orders to the station operator. Then the station operator goes, hangs the orders at whatever station he's acting as the operator for. Okay, this is one of 2 sheets. This is the AM sheet. It's just a full schedule for the day, and the sheet, the next sheet down would be the PM. And it gives you all the information. So the guys come and look at their train or find out what train they want. They can get a little more information here on the train ID, the railroad. We've got 6 railroads running on this road. We got the subdivisions. We got Bowling Green at the north and let's see, Cassidy. No, I guess we called it Columbia. We've changed it to Cassidy, so this is an older sheet. So origination, interim stops, and termination. So it gives you all the information on the train that you might want. And here's name tags of all the crews, and they just pluck them off here and put them on the other board, then put them back when they're done. Okay, in the last sheet here, we have, or I should say the last board, we have all the locations: Bowling Green, Ribo Yard, Gresham Yard, Columbia, Cedar Hill, Franklin, Guthrie, and so on. This is the passenger station. And then these are tags for the trains: timetable passenger, timetable freight, extra freights, switchers, local. If a train is moving when a crew's picking it up, it's already halfway through, we'll put the move tag where on the location. And then if a train is delayed for some reason, we can grab one of these tags and put it up there so the crew knows it's not going out on time. Okay, we have almost 70 trains on the schedule, and about half of them are AM and half of them are PM. So if we had no trains listed on the board, on the other board, this would be full all the way down here, AM, all the way down here, PM. And we leave them in chronological order, and we just lift them off and put them over on the other board for each session. And then as the trains are run at the end of the session, they're all put back in order here. So it's kind of easy to keep track of. A few of these trains might be run more than one time, but for the most part, each one is run for one time. So that's the board in its entirety. The crews come in, they grab their name tags, they put them on whatever train they want. And the only time that I have to move them is if I've got a train ready to go and nobody's tagged up for it. And I'll just ask who would like to take it. And they've been real good at just grabbing their tag, putting it there, and then going in and taking care of the train. So it's worked really well. The guys really like it. I really like it. And I don't have to look at a little clipboard that I'm carrying around, sometimes set down and then forget. I've got these up right in front of me, and it really helps me out. So that's basically it. Does anybody have any questions on this before I change? No? Okay. Let's see. Well, that's it. So if you have no questions, I guess I'm done.
Randy, I really do appreciate you telling us about this tonight. It looks like it's an excellent way of getting everything started for you.
Well, thank you. Yeah, we're real happy with it. And, you know, I would highly recommend it. Smaller railroads probably don't need it, but larger railroads, the larger it is and the more, more traffic and routings you have, the better something like that works.
Thanks again, Andy. Look forward to seeing you next time.
Thank you, Jim. Yeah, sorry I got to leave. I'm still working on that program for Toledo Convention, and I've got some things upstairs to take care of before I leave. So
have a good one.
Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.
Well, next I'd like to turn to Martin Brickbuild, MMR, for his build along of the Leadville designs, maintenance of Waycar. And I think this is going to finish it out for Martin's build along tonight. So my build for Martin will be next month when we can see everybody and what they've accomplished to build the car along with Martin. So Martin, welcome.
Good evening, Jim. It's been a long day. Somehow my internal alarm clock is set for 4:30 in the morning, and I have no idea how to reset it. I can't find the reset button. So this indeed will be the end of this conclusion. Come on, there you go. And in fact, this is going to be very brief, very short, and very fast because I probably made a mistake and probably should have just rolled these slides into the last presentation. I've stretched it out an extra week just to inflict as much punishment as possible, or whatever you want to call it. So with that said, last week I said something about painting and finishing. Yeah, threats. Well, you know, you see me painting, you'd know what I mean by threats. It's something kind of frightening to watch, even at a distance, across the other end of the parking lot. In any case, the weather did cooperate, sort of. It didn't rain, windy and fun, and the sun was shining. So I was out in the driveway with a spray can, a rattle can of red primer from Rust-Oleum in one hand and Boxcar Red in the other hand from Scale Coat. And yes, I'm waving both hands around the car at the same time to get something that looks something like what you're seeing. And if you're careful and don't look like a complete lunatic with two spray cans in your hand, you can actually do this fairly well. And yeah, I had this circle because these are the little rivets, nail heads, whatever, that were laser cut into the roof. And you can actually maintain that with a rattle can. You don't need an airbrush necessarily if you're exercise some care and think ahead a little bit and realize, get back a few feet and take your time with this and be very gentle with it. There's no big rush, and you don't have to slather it on. It's not like dipping it in the bucket. You can do it very carefully. So you come up with something like this. I didn't care for the red primer. I thought it was a little off in color. The Boxcar Red was a little too bright. The two together came out acceptable. And decaling, well, I put the black decals on just because I wanted to be perverse about it instead of the white on red. I was feeling rather in a dark place at the time. So it's dark decals on red. Those trucks that it's sitting on are just a matter of convenience. I have no idea what they are. Anybody who recognizes them and knows what they are, feel free to scream at me. I'd like to know what they are. They're not narrow gauge trucks, but they were, they're very, very small wheelbase truck, even for O scale. So I went back and you can see I started hitting the, let's see. Yeah, the stack, the brake wheel, some odds and ends with some black paint. Let's see, I should have that coming up more here. I'm hoping. The decals on this are very, very nice. They come right off the paper beautifully, slide off beautifully right into a puddle on the wood surface, which is semi-gloss already because the paint I used, it's not fully gloss. It's close enough. It didn't complain. They came off, went down nice and smooth, and I could go back with a scalpel and cut every single board free of it, and I just haven't bothered. And you might note, I still haven't put the windows in this yet. They're not glazed yet. Those got painted separately outside also, and only blew down the driveway about 6 feet because they don't weigh anything. Started to touch everything up with some steam black just to give a little contrast. And I have no idea what those trucks are, but they were convenient at the time. So there's glazing supplied. I just glued it to the back of the window frames. They drop right in. The nice thing about this is you can position the windows wherever you like to put them. You can have them closed, you can have them open, or you can have them half and half, which is, I think that's where I left mine. Terribly indecisive. I couldn't decide whether to close them all or open them all. So split the difference, half and half. Underbody, steam black on most of the ironwork, metalwork parts. The rest is Minwax walnut stain. And I could slop more of that on or not. Sometimes I put it on rather heavily. Sometimes I put it on rather light, just to give it a actual wood look as opposed to a painted look. And that's what this car looks like after a 3 or 4 flocks of bees flew over it. And that's my story on that, and I'm sticking with it. I'll hide behind that as best I can. But I put the windows in, they're half open, half not. And I think it's actually a rather nice little car. And I say little because this is a full-scale standard switcher. It's the smallest piece of motive power I own. And it's kind of large. It may actually be 17/64. In fact, I'm betting it actually is 17/64. So it's actually doubly oversized for an ON3 car. But it's part of my layout. I like the way it looks. It was a fun build, and I don't build very many narrow gauge cars, maybe once every 3 years, and I still had fun with it. And I think it's a rather good kit. I hope everybody had fun building it. There's a lot of possibilities and fun with this car. And it's not a kit that tests your soul or your metal too badly. It's very straightforward. So we're going to wrap it up right there. And I hope to see what anybody else has done a month from now. And we'll call it done.
Well, Martin, I can't thank you enough. This was really great. It's a different kind of project and a different scale than we normally do, being narrow gauge. And I really do appreciate you stepping up and doing this.
Somebody had a question about the stack being squared to the angled roof, being vertical. Actually, it wasn't. I just kind of persuaded it to be. And when I mounted it with a little bit of goo and CA, that gives you a little bit of a extra, I don't know what the word I'm looking for, flange to serve as tar to seal it. How about that? But it came out fairly straight. Anything else? I guess we can move on, Jim.
Well, wait a minute, Martin, that little corner of your layout would be nice. I'd like to see more of it.
Well, if you're up here later this week for the convention, let me know.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, I won't be. But anyway,
someday I'll publish.
Maybe a photo story.
I think I did that about 3 months ago.
Oh, okay. Well, there it says what I know.
Well, I'll send you a photo. Actually, there's going to be a photo in our newsletter, and someday I'll actually publish my layout when I'm desperately,
cool.
when I'm in total desperate straits for material, which I hope doesn't happen. Okay, Jim, I've prattled on.
Martin, you're talking about the Mideast Regions Convention, right?
Yeah, it starts tomorrow.
Where are you having it?
Hunt Valley. It's just north of Baltimore.
Fantastic. Well, it's a great region. I enjoyed every minute I lived there, and I wish you the best with it.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious how it's going to all work out. There's a lot of unknowns, obviously, floating around in the air.
Oh, well, you'll make out.
We'll find out.
All right. So next, I'd like to turn to Bill Davis for his build along of the rail scale models Tobacco Barn. Bill, welcome.
Okay, later. All right.
Phil, do you want to make get me off of the screen so that it's a full screen for Bill? Yeah, there you go. Okay.
Okay. There we go. I don't want that. But I do want this. Okay. All right. And we go to the little screen here. Okay. And cancel this. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Get back to this. All right, so this is the third and final part of this project. Apologize for last week. I was doing a Martin and being up way too early and doing too much in the day. But anyway, so here. So we're going to talk about the roofs on this building today and some other details on this building. And so we're going to talk about the main roof. Oops, wrong button. So rail scale model provided a cardboard piece that was pre-folded and ready to go in the building. They also provided these triangles here on each side. This area right here is the opening for the vent. Anyway, these triangles, so I glued these in place, and then I decided that to really make the walls stay straight, I added these pieces of 6 1/8 square on each side here, so that when I put the roof on here, I was able to glue these pieces to those pieces there, and it kept everything straight. Otherwise, these kind of bowed out just a little bit, and I didn't want that to be in there. So kept those straight. That's the inside. I really didn't care what it looked like inside. It's never going to be seen. Now, one of the things that I like to do when I'm doing a tar paper roof, add these where the piece of the tar paper overlap. And I've tried, brush painting it and many other different methods, but the one I found that works best is to use a Sharpie ultra fine point. These are black, but they got a little bit of sheen to them, and tar has a little bit of sheen, a little oily look to it, and they look that kind of that way when you use it. So it's just a really simple way to create those tar lines. And as you can see on this roof here, I did that. Now, this is not sloppy work. This is the idea that if you've ever seen a tar papered roof, those guys aren't real good at slopping that tar down. And so that's why those lines are exaggerated in some locations here. It's just supposed to be representing over thing. Now, when I did the roofing material here, Rail Scale provided a nice piece of black paper that was laser cut to the right size. So I took those papers and I first had some gray colored chalk. I don't even know what kind of chalk it is, what brand it was. I've had it for years. And so I slathered that over the roofing material. And then using a paper towel, I kind of varnished it into the paper. Then when that was done, I went back with Bragdon chalks and added like 3 or 4 different colors of Bragdon chalk to it and did the same thing, and then kind of burned those into the paper so that it didn't look like chalk on it, but looked like it was just part of the discoloration of the paper over the years. I like the idea that Steve mentioned by these wooden strips to help hold the roofing down. And so I did that, but I had a big patch here. I thought, well, they cut out the strip here and put the patch in, but then they put the strip back again. So that's why I got this effect here going on. And also now you notice these rafter tails at the end of the roof. You notice they're not all the same length. The reason that I did that is this was not built by a professional contractor who specialized in building barns. This was built by, in my scenario for the story of the thing, was built by a tobacco farmer who needed a shed to dry his tobacco. And so he wasn't worried about how beautiful it was or whatever that is. He just built the shed and had built a barn and probably had his field hands come in and help him build it. So nothing's perfect, but then that's kind of the concept I was looking for. This is the backside roof. Once again, we got the strips going on here, and then we've got the part where I let the tar kind of seep through. Again, we have the odd length rafter tails at the end over here. And there are no patches back here, so these boards just went straight through. Just to hold nailed down to the roof, just to hold the tar paper, don't should ever break loose. Okay, so this is the wall, just a kind of an overview of the front wall. I don't know how to get rid of that. Anyway, an overview of the front wall, showing the door and the damaged tar paper, the brickwork, and the roofing, and the odd length rafter tails. So that pretty much completes this part of the roof. And then once again, this is the back side. You'll notice a little bit of wave to the roof, but there's these, warp and change. And so there's areas where it's not going to be exactly flat, which is okay. That's what old roofs do. If you look at old buildings, you'll see a lot of wave and stuff like this in old roofs. Okay, now there's a shed roof that was provided that Millie had in the front of the building, stayed out in the front of the building. And so I went ahead and built that. I started off, I just painted the bottom side of that with just some Tamiya brown paint. And I did not try to make it real smooth and real perfect and stuff like this. Actually, it's might never be seen, but I wanted to just look like it was just rough down there. Then I used the provided 2x6s, 2x4s, 2x6s for the roof supports. And I beveled the back one here, and I put a piece across the back here to be like a header going across the wall to support the roofing. This here is the 8x8 or 9x9 that Steve provided. I glued it to the roof, and then I realized that it wouldn't match the roof contour, so I took it back off again, and I added some 2x4 to it, and then remounted that board so that it would match this contour here, and this contour here would match. And this is the top side of that roof. Once again, I did the tar paper smears and stuff like this, and add a little patch and a little over here just to give it some character. This time that the tails are all the same length, just happened to work out that way. And then I added legs to it. Now, Steve provided this leg material, but I felt I needed some sway braces, so I added some 2x4 for sway braces on there. And so that completes that part of the roof. This brings us to the vents. There are two vents on this building. One is in the roof and one is in the side of the building. And the one on the side of the building is a vent for the fire. They run in the roof as just a vent to let the smoke and stuff out. So Steve, once again, provided nice little laser cut ends, one here and one here. However, I wanted to have a larger vent with a higher vent, but I wanted to have more than just two supports. Well, I tried to cut the supports using the same material that he laser cut it. And there's a reason why he uses a laser, because it cuts it a whole lot better than trying to cut it by hand. So I made I cut some pieces of 2x8 and cut an angle to it and put two pieces together and added the vent that way. I think it looks better, and I think it gives more of a vent look. And having one in the center is a little more logical than having that much space with just one on each end. This is the vent, and you can see how these stick out a little bit beyond the wood. I think the part that Millie cut, the roofing covered the entire piece. It didn't have anything go on, and I like the idea of it going beyond. Once again, keeping that rustic home built look that the farmer built it, not professionals. Okay, now here's the fire pit. Now this little plastic, this was a plastic piece here. And so how I painted it to look that way is I started off with Tamiya NATO black. And then I put Bragdon's rust colored chalk on it. But the trick to getting it to look that way and having the rust look that way on it was to take some water and wash the casting after it's been chalked, keeping the direction of what water would flow and stuff like this. And a couple coats without washing everything off here gave us this kind of rusty look to it that just the chalk on there didn't give. And so I like the way it looked. I like the way it came out. I've been successful with that on several different projects of using chalks and then using water or alcohol or any number of things to wash the chalks into the model more than just having it just be on there. I think it looks much more realistic. And so this is the completed side with where they stoked the fire for the fire pit. And there's our little vent. And you can see the edge of the roof here with the eave pieces and our door opening covered up here, our window opening covered up, and our tar paper walls. We're pretty much got everything done here. So remember the shed roof. So the question come to mind when I first started this project of where we would put that shed roof. And so looking for some feedback from you guys. Here's some options that I came up with as to where that shed roof. Okay, before we do that though, this is the tobacco barn that's at my museum here where I live in Fuquay. And this is another barn type that is on one of the roads about, I don't know, a couple, 3 miles from my house. And you see this one's on the front side and it's very steep and very large and little damage and stuff like this, where this one is on the side. And so with that thought in mind, here's the idea of putting it on the right side of the building. And my thought there was, if I put it on the right side of the building, one of my friends suggested, well, that'd be perfect, but he'd put his cart for bringing his tobacco leaves to the barn, or his tractor, or any number of things. It just seemed like a logical place to put it. But here's on the other side. And my thought there would be that in inclement weather or whatever, he could still work the fire and stuff like this without being out in the weather. So that's the left side. And finally, this is in front. Now, none of these are glued on here, so I know it's not level with the thing, but when I glue it on wherever I locate this thing, it will be level. And so this is in the front. This is the way Steve had in mind when he put the kit together. So that's pretty much it. That's all, folks. So any feedback, any questions, anything else that you might have concerning this project and what we've done here? I'm open.
Well, I think the way that you weathered with the chalks in the water, I've never heard of that technique before. I think that's wonderful. It looks so realistic.
Thank you.
Bill, it's a great job with that kit that you did, the siding and the rusting on the vent. I would personally not glue on the overhang, and I'd move it every month and keep the farmer guessing. What am I going to get wet doing this month?
Yeah, or just take it away in the winter months, or when you have all the rainstorms and stuff like that and stuff. You know, that goes with the old classic farmer joke about people stealing watermelons out of his garden. And so he decided what he would do is he put a sign up, and the sign said, "Beware, one of these watermelons is poisoned." The next day he came out and the sign says, "Now there's two."
Well, I'll tell you, I hate to see you put it in the front, because the door that you built for the front, I thought was just outstanding and really adds a lot to the building. So my preference would be one of the sides.
Yeah, well, I've had several people say that to me about that door, including my own wife. So, yeah, I don't think the front is really an option. The more I look at it with the front, it's like, no, it hides too much stuff. That tar paper wall and everything else.
Yeah.
Personally, I'm really looking to the right side if I have of all the choices. I like that one wall painted. My wife goes, "Why don't I paint one wall?" And I said, "Because the far as he got." It maybe had to start using the barn and didn't have time to paint it anymore, and he never got back to it and stuff like this. So, but yeah, I probably will put it on the right side and build a little wagon of some kind that he hooks to his tractor to go out to the field and gather up a bunch of the tobacco leaves and bring them in and hang them in the barn and fire the fire up, and there he goes and stuff. So, but listen, this was an awesome kit. I love Steve Millie's stuff, and I built a bunch of it. And if you want to get a really good kit that is going to go together, you're not going to have any trouble assembling it. I highly recommend anything that Real Scale Models does. They are an excellent company, and Steve goes out of his way to produce a very, very, very quality product.
Well, I tell you, one of the things that impressed me about it is what you've accomplished here with this kit is showing that you can take a basic kit and really make something super special out of it by the way that you weather it and by the creativity that you bring to it, by coming up with a story behind the finished model. And I commend you for that, because I think you've demonstrated that beautifully. And I really do appreciate all the hard work here, Bill.
I appreciate that. One of the things that I've always done with my modeling is I do like to have some kind of story of what's going on. why it's doing what it's doing, why I'm doing everything by having this little tail that I told myself of what's going on here. And it kind of helps me as I'm building the project to create what is in my head as I'm trying to do it. More than
Absolutely.
just, okay, here's the model, here's the instructions, build it. Now, I also always try to do something to a model. One of the things that I've always disliked, I know we're running out of time here, just real quick. One of the always things that I dislike when I go visit a layout is when I can look at the layout and pick out every manufacturer of what's been built there.
Yeah.
I like when I go there and I go, what's that? Well, that was started off as a bandit kit, but now it is this, you know? And I just like that kind of thing. I like the creativity ability of all that in people. Anyway,
Well,
thanks for the
you're
opportunity to do this, Jim. We will do this again.
fantastic. I will welcome you back anytime.
All right.
Well, now let me mention that Chris Blackmar was supposed to be on doing his special modeling tonight, but he called me this afternoon and said I can't do it because I've got to get a new part for my computer. It's not working, and by the way, I've lost everything I was going to say, so I've got to recreate all the PowerPoint. So I can't do it tonight, but Chris will be back next week. So, Chris, I'm sorry about it. I know. I was looking forward to your presentation, but we'll see you again next week.
Thank you.
So with that said, I'd like to turn to Jim Murphy for his build along of the business car from LaBelle Woodworking. So welcome, Jim.
Well, thank you so much. And as always, Bill Davis is a very tough act to follow. So I'm going to have a challenge there. And I can think
now he's going to want more money to do it next time.
Oh, absolutely. And as a matter of fact, Bill and I live close by to each other. So we had a modeling session this afternoon. So we owe each other in terms of activity here. So I am going to jump in with model. I'm gonna try to accelerate. I don't want to go way over my accelerated time, but as we take a kit and make it our own, the sessions tonight. By the way, is my screen share okay?
Yes.
Okay, good. Last week we talked about getting familiar with the parts, getting prototype information, some photos. We got started on the roof and clear story. Today, we're going to wrap up the roof and the car body, which will be as far as the Rick's original LaBelle kit pretty much goes, because as you see here, it's the body, the roof, some castings, end panels, and less trucks and couplers. So at this point, we will try to bring it up to the kit as issued, and then proceed on with the customization, which is what takes an average kit and turns it into something a little more special. Finished up the roof. It's all shaped. I like Krylon Color Max primer. Put that on it. Then the next step is the vents are made from sophisticated brass escutcheon pins. And the way to make those work is to take an old pair of needle nose, trim them off to about 1/4 inch. Be careful, both the Dremel disc and the pin wants to fly across the room if you lose your grip on anything. As once you cut them, drop them into a little foam tray so you don't lose them. Tip number 13, buy yourself an inexpensive dial caliper. You use this for measuring the diameter of rod or screws, also inside diameter of holes or lengths very accurately. It's an invaluable tool. They're not that expensive. They can usually be found now for less than 20 bucks. I haven't tried the digital ones, but they seem to be okay too. These vents / escutcheon pins are 0.053 inches. That's 53 thousandths of an inch, as shown on the dial up here. So these pins are now going to become your vents by inserting in holes in the top of the roof. Go to your chart. Everyone's got one of these somewhere in their toolbox. 53 thousandths is approximately between a 55 and number 54 drill. This is the drill sizes. This is fractional size drills. 3/64 won't fit. Sorry, it's too tight a squeeze. 1/16 will work if you don't have anything else. Drill it with that, but you'll just use Martin's ACC and glue combination when you go to install them, because the hole will be a little sloppy. A number 54 drill fits perfectly. Okay, you lay them out with tip number 14, draftsman's compass. This is a divider with points in it. They come with a compass lead and a point and various combinations. They're now inexpensive. This particular set's probably 50 years old, still works fine. Draftsman equipment needs to be better understood. It's very, very handy for layout work, for measuring. I measured the points distance here from the drawing, which is to scale, and then just transferred it to the top of the roof, found the center here, and then started marking out the holes for the vents. It also makes a nice little dimple in there. Use a number 54 drill. In this case, it was a handheld drill and a Dremel tool. Start drilling the holes here. And by using a power drill, you get very little flash around here. Drill your holes. Start inserting the escutcheon pins. Here's one in place loosely, drilling the next one, then drilling the next one, drilling the next one, all the way down the roof. Put the roof on the car body. If it's assembled, that keeps it all kind of stable. So you got a good, nice, steady platform. And again, because I'm detailing the inside, I didn't want those escutcheons sending down in the middle like fangs coming down out of the roof of the car once the inside's assembled. Spacing them, you want each vent to be exactly the same distance above the roof. Trying to push and pull those and look at it with an eyeball or measure it's impossible. Make yourself a Bill Davis jigs and fixtures. This is 30,000 styrene, a U-shaped hole. You insert the styrene underneath the escutcheon pin, push down, and then remove the template. You're exactly 30 thousandths away. Move on to the next one. All the pins are the same height above the height. As you can see here, they're all the same height above it. Okay, now start painting. I put a piece of masking tape inside the clear story, which is a wide open area. You don't want paint getting in there because I painted the inside white. That's got to be reflective of the light. So you put a forward facing, this is sticky sides tortoise. That goes inside the clear, open clear story. You hit the sides of the rods with your bit of your paint that you're going to use for the car body sides. In this case, it's a coach green color. Spray that on the sides there. And I've sprayed the masking tape here, the sides of the roof, doesn't matter. Get a nice coat of paint on it. Then use your ubiquitous roof template, cut a curved piece of masking tape, insert that inside the ridge of the clear story over your nice fresh green paint. Let it dry for a while. Stick a piece of green masking tape over that so you've covered the green, because trying to paint that later on with a airbrush or even a paintbrush, it's going to be very, very difficult. So you want that green. Do the same on all four corners. Then get in there with your, set it up on the black paint. This is a couple of pieces of wood held together with masking tape, piece of double stick masking tape on the inside the roof. Now I have a way of holding it in the spray booth, and I'm starting to set up for the car floor. So all ready for painting here. I'd put another light coat of primer on it, just to smooth everything out, look for any last minute flaws. Then I started with the black roof paint. This I wanted to put on at least a couple of coats. Moving an airbrush, what you want is that airbrush, as soon as it hits the surface, to be wet and then dry immediately. So as I'm moving back and forth, when I hit it with just a little paint, it looks wet, and then it's with fractions of a second later, it's dry. And then move up and down evenly, turning the model at all angles, side to side, top to bottom, ends the same way. Spray it from all angles lightly. I've got it set at a very low setting. Let it dry for a few hours, come back, spray another coat on it. And then what you have is a finished roof with, I used a weathered, grimy black, not a pure black, but a one with some weathering on it. What you see here is the masking tape's been removed, so it's an open, clear story. And that little bit of green paint on the edges just requires a bare minimum touch up. So it's green on the sides, and the green will match the car body later. I'm gonna escape here, switch screens quickly, and all right, I'm gonna go to here and here and here, and now we're going to start the car body. This is saying, okay, open up the instructions again. What you'll see here is different widths. These are called window posts. There are different sizes. There's the number 2 size, which is 3 panels across with raised sections. The 4s are narrower. The 5s and 6s have a raised ridge on one end. What you look at when you look at the inventory that you receive is that you have about 24 pieces of this number 2 size material, 3 pieces of the number 4 size, 0 of the number 5s, and 0 of the number 6s. Time to be very judicious about making them. What you have to do is cut up some of the number 2s and turn those into 5s and 6s. Keeping them straight is going to be tough. So your first battle is to make it easy by pencil marking the inside of the side walls, so you know which window frame, which window post goes where. Be aware of this all the way through. As you go through, you'll notice the window openings have a little bit of fuzz on them. You've got to clean this off. And you'll see this on all of the window openings throughout the kit. You're just going to have to get out that needle file and remove the fuzz before you go to the next stage. These have already been sealed so that these become a little more prominent. That matte sealer was invaluable that we put on the first step. Identify the pieces. The 9 pieces are wainscoting that go on the bottom of the car sides. The number 2s go in between the windows where the number 2 goes. 5 and 6 you don't even have a picture of, so I drew my own. A 5 has a window frame on one side and wainscoting on the other. A number 6 has a raised window frame and window scotting. What happens is these window frames form, obviously, the frames of the windows. So the panel on the, I get to on the next one, the window panels that you receive. This is all you get. You get milled pieces, couple of number 4s, and the rest are number 2s. Be very, very careful. This is all you get. There will be almost no scrap left over. Looking close at these, you see that in the side view, there is a raised window frame on each corner. The area in between here is scrap, and you're going to want to file that smooth so you get a sharp edge on each side of the window. Here it is from the front. You can see the raised window frames and the wainscoting in between them, raised window frames. And you only have X numbers of these, so be careful how you cut them out and use them. This is a number 5 made from a number 2. You just cut off the outer edge and you have 3 flat panels, the corner piece, and that forms a number 5. The window frame faces the window. The flat side faces the end of the car, and this will mate up with the front or rear end of the car body. Very, very carefully. Again, super sharp X-Acto knife or scalpel blade, trim them square. And as you start generating, you realize, oh my gosh, how do I keep them straight? Little milk caps cleaned out work great. I have the number 2s in this bin, the number 4s, which you actually got 3 of when you only need 2. Keep those in one bin, and the 5s and 6s, which are symmetric, they fit in another bin. I even saved my scrap because I wasn't sure how I was going to have much of everything to finish it. Then scrape them on a flat surface. I prefer a hard backed sandpaper for doing the square edges, and then put them at a 30-degree angle just to break the chamfer on the backside so there's no flash. Tip number 15, piece of sandpaper glued on both sides of a hard plastic sheet. I've got 80 grit on one side. I've got 120 grit. This is just held in place with double stick Scotch tape onto a hard surface so I can cut it, just like having a smooth, flat file with a replaceable grit and a convenient hole to hang it on your workbench. Then my dutiful A1 glue, A West glue dispenser, 1 window post at a time. Here I've got number 2s available. Just put a little bit of white glue on there, glue them down, put them in place. You'll notice I'm down to, I only have 3 number 2s left, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4 number 2 window posts and 1 in my hand. So this is what you get. I had no number 2s left over in the kit. When you place them, make sure you put them in the center of the window post so there's an equal amount on both sides of the window. Remember, this is actually a window frame, so you want these equal. The best way to do that is to eyeball them. And fortunately, the kit, these were cut the correct length the first time, so I didn't have to do any cutting or trimming on the horizontal here. Just separate them from the milled basswood piece. Once they're in place, glue them, hold them down with a light clamp. This is an old machine tool lathe cutter, and it's perfectly square, and it's the right width that fits down between the letterboard and the chair rail. So it nests down there and it holds the glue. It only has to stay there 15-20 minutes for it to set up. It's a very thin coat of glue. On the edges, again, make sure you've got the inside of the window frame facing the inside of the window. Stick that in place, but you can't hit that with a clamp because it would twist. So make sure your clamp lies on the flat surface of the window post and holds it down while it's setting up. This is the total amount of window post material I had left after the job was done. This was the last piece in. This was all that was left. Be careful of your window post material. This is the wainscoting. First, I sanded it flat on one side, and then I broke the chamfer on the back side with my flat sanding disc. This is 3x4 quarter sheets of sandpaper. I just buy by the dozen in different grits and use them up, throw them away, glue them down again. Here I'm putting the wainscoting in place, pass my X-Acto knife down between the joints, and note here 2 things. 1, equal distance between the windows. Keep that even. Also, surprises lurking in the corners. these little pieces of grit manage to get in there, they will appear in your final paint job if you're careful, as will this bit of fuzz. Get rid of all of that. And the way to do that is get out a brass wire brush, stroke with the grain, and turn it over on the back side, brush the window openings, and that wire brush will do a nice job of cleaning it up just before painting. Here I'm cheating on the inner doors, and rather than trying to make a panel out of basswood or scrap wood, I made a Xerox on a piece of thin cardstock and then cut out the cardstock for the door panels, pops it right out. Here's the, as you get on with it, it gets easier and easier to work with here. Here's doing one of the inner doors, and yes, I made a mistake here. Cut that out. The mullion didn't come out right. That is a piece of, that's a pencil with a dab of Elmer's glue, and dot it up, put it away for a while, come back to it after the glue's dried. There's a repair. It's going to go on the inside of this door, so clean up the casting. Because I'm going to put quarter round molding on the edges here, I went ahead and carried that mark down to the side of the window of the door opening, so you can put the quarter round molding in there. Here are the door panels ready to go on the door. Now this is a plain door on the front end, so when this is glued in place, it just forms a plain door, and then there'll be molding around it. The opening for the end door on the back side of the car has to be open on both sides, so that this door opening has to be there. All the door openings here for doors and windows need to be in place. End door, quarter round molding just around the edges. Again, don't have to worry too much about it at the bottom, because we're going to file that flat. Just a bevel up in the corners, put your quarter round molding in, that forms the door opening, both sides here. And again, this is straight here. Don't worry about this door panel. That's just for show. This has to be square and true, because the window and the lower wainscoting is going in this area. The ends, after they're assembled, you can see how it's all piled in here. Another coat of primer. You can't put too much primer on, as long as you put it on thin every time. Use a fine point scriber. I use preformed grab irons because I'm lazy, and they're much easier to work with. Get a scriber, a number 77 drill the openings, insert that, and it's never too early to put these in place. To keep from crushing them, just slide a piece of cardstock behind the rail so you can handle the darn things. Then as you start assembling, don't forget the doorknobs. This is the inside of the door being built up. This will fit this side to the back side of this door, and that will form the window openings. In between that comes the trick of putting the acetate in there, so you have windows inside and out that you can see through. These will hold the glazing. Now you assemble the car body. Fortunately, this bottom piece for the platform is square and true and absolutely the right length. So when you put the sides on with the quarter round molding on the ends, the sides come right to the end of the platforms here, and same way up in here. So you now have a square surface. You're square and true. Make sure, check these with a level and a square. Make sure everything is square on there, and you're ready to insert. Place that on the end of the car. Check again, square across there. You'll notice there's no attachment here yet. This is the inside door shown there. Coat of paint on it at this point doesn't hurt. Inside of the door, plumb square. Now remember, everything's loose. Be careful how you handle it. Your glue joint is to the side, to the end only. Glue here, no glue here, no glue on the roof, no glue on top of the end, no glue on the end, only this joint. Do that for the rear and the right side. Let it set overnight. Go back, do the front and the left side, same corner on the same piece of wood. Again, ends only. And then you glue the two side and end assemblies together. You're left with this. Your molding, crown molding and round molding is flat on the sides. It does not necessarily have to be flat on the ends, but then you've opened up the end platform so it fits snugly over that. So we left this to the very last minute to trim with a file. Glue, this joint's glued, and that's how it's set up. Then we take a file and just smooth this surface. You can see a little bit of paint on that sticking out. You'll make this surface and this quarter round smooth. And you'll notice here, this is where the window frame was and the flat wainscoting on the window posts. The other end, again, had to do a little sanding on the ends once they were all put together. Got both sections here, and just smooth off the quarter round, which is easy to make blended into the rest of the body. So we do both of these that direction. And I jumped too far here. Oh, one thing I need to point out, this corner, roof did not fit well. Fine on this side, sticking up on this side. That's a problem. Turns out this end was a little bit high. Out there with the magic Dremel tool, slowly removing material until we got a satisfactory tight fit on the end of it. And then after the roof is held in place lengthwise, just trim the ends slightly so that the curvature of the end of the roof matches up to the number boards on the side, lettering boards. Last check to make sure the roof stays in place laterally is a tiny piece of wood and 1 drop of glue in each corner so that the wood is up against the ends. Remember, no glue on the ends, no glue on the sides. Only glue is the stop to the roof, the stop to the roof, and the same on the other end, so the roof doesn't move laterally. Finish cleaning up the clear story windows, which are separate casting. Give them a coat of the green sidewall paint, but again, clean up the openings, then paint it, and you're ready for assembly. This is the paint the sides separately. You put pre-painted clear story window panel up here. This has already been pre-painted. You assemble it. Now you've married the roof to that. Again, nothing is attached, and you're ready to go on to the next project. So hop aboard on the car and we'll be ready for next week when we really get into customizing this model. Are there any questions?
Hey, Jim, your airbrush, is it a single action or double action?
That's a double action.
Ah,
It's an older Aztec, and the only reason I'm very fond of Aztecs is because I won that in an NMRA model contest for finishing. I think I was the only one that entered the finish contest, so I got a free airbrush, and I like free.
yeah.
But I've been very satisfied with it. It's not as popular as a Badger or one of the Japanese one that begins with an I, or a Pash. They all work well. The key is to keep them clean. But the Aztec works fine for me.
One more question. Your roof's gonna be removable, right?
Yes, because I'm going to do the interiors and the lighting in the next phases, which are beyond the basic kit. So everything has to be removable. And keep
Right, and
checking as you go along that the roof and the car body and the floor and underframe are all removable.
Right. So I got the same thing going on in the car that I'm working on that we worked on at your house today. Have you considered using magnets?
Oops.
Have you considered using magnets, Jim?
I don't need to. I do try to keep it as snug as possible. And that's why I've glued those little wooden tabs underneath the roof.
Mhm.
And they keep it snug. And actually I'll probably have no room for magnets. I got so much going on the inside of this car that it's going to be tough enough getting the lighting in there and riding that. So I just make it a snug fit and try not to handle it too much. Okay, yes, I have dropped the underframe out of one car that wasn't magnet, but well, you learn.
Yeah.
Well, Jim, I appreciate so much you doing this for us. This is just going to be a beautiful car once you get it finished.
Oh, I'm having fun with it.
Well, that's part of what it's all about. Well, now I'd like to move to our featured modeler this evening. And this is more than one. This is 5 people. This is going to be the Motrack build along. It's going to start soon. Next week is actually the start of the build. But this is kind of an explanation from the owner of the company, Motrack, and from the 4 modelers that are going to be building exactly the same kit, but in the 4 different scales that the kit is offered in. So I'd like to welcome Jeff Adams, the owner of Motrack Models, Phil Edholm, who's going to be the O-scale builder, Bob Fargate, who's going to be the S-scale builder, Greg Cassidy, who's going to be the HO scale builder, and Clark Cooney, NMR, who's going to be the N-scale builder. So gentlemen, welcome, and I really do thank all of you for wanting to participate in this, because this is something that I don't think has ever been done before. At least I'm not aware of it. And I think it's going to really be interesting. This goes back again to Phil Edholm's recommendation. So to start this off, I'd like to turn it over to Jeff Adams and let him talk about his company and about the kit that everybody's going to be building. So Jeff, welcome and thank you for doing this.
Good evening, folks. You guys hear me okay?
Yes.
That's a good thing. All right, so Motrack Models is 18 years old. It started in 2003. The company started making freight car loads. After roughly 10 years, I sold that portion of the company and just doing structures and detail items. 4 years ago, I went out and bought a laser cutter. Before I was sending my drawings out to other people to do the cutting, but I'm doing my own cutting now. And it's just a fun job. I do it full time now. The kit that we're going to build is called the Adamsville Depot. You guys see it okay?
Yes.
The advantage of this kit is the walls are interchangeable. So if you want to do on side, of course, the sidewalls are interchangeables. And you can put it anywhere on the dock. Can you guys still see me? Because I'm looking at
Yeah.
Jim right now.
As far as I know, everybody.
Yes, we can see you.
Yeah, we see you.
Oh. It's just a small building. And it's a great introduction for beginners. The HO version comes with plastic windows and plastic personnel door. The freight door is laser cut. N, S, and O scale all the windows and doors are laser cut. It's only 3 pieces. You just glue them together, put the acetate on, and then glue them in place. Well, HO scale, the upper window is cut. Tichy doesn't make those kind of windows. That's about it. It's just a very easy kit, and it can be modified. You can move the cupola any position, anywhere you want to place it. And right now, I probably sold about 10 for the build along. That's it. Anybody have any questions?
Well, again, Jeff, I really do appreciate you doing this. You know, it was hard finding a manufacturer that makes the same model in the 4 different scales. And I really do appreciate you wanting to participate in the build along and being a part of this.
No, I appreciate this wholeheartedly.
Well, that's great. Phil, I'd like to turn to you now because this whole idea came from you. So maybe you'd like to take over and try to explain to everybody how the 4 of you all are planning to operate this building the same kit in the 4 different scales for us.
So Jim, you know, this was one of those kind of what I call brain fart. It was kind of this thought that says, you know, one of the things that's interesting if someone's trying to consider scales is to think about the differences. And so this was an opportunity to do that. And quite frankly, we all, I think, I don't know if Clark, I assume he has his kit. Mine came yesterday. So I think what we basically have today is all of us have some pictures of the kit we received. And I think one of the things we wanted to do here was try to contrast a little bit the differences, at least initially, between the scales. And then we'll kind of decide next week how we do it, if we kind of do it as each presenting something or kind of go through more of a complete build. So that kind of comes next, I think will come next week. So I tell you what, Greg, I think you're probably got your kit the first and have come along the farthest. So why don't you go, you and Bob go ahead. Why don't you go ahead and go first and then Bob.
Okay, Phil. I'm going to go ahead and bring up a couple of pictures. This will show modelers what came in the package. This is the HO scale. And as Jeff said, this is the one that came with the tissue plastic windows. So there were 2 bags nicely packaged in there. Bag 1 had the walls and the strip wood inside it, plus some of the laser cut details. And bag 2 had the shingles, more laser cut door, and then the plastic windows. And one of the nice things I like in this kit, the sheet of acetate, he also gives a printout showing you how to cut the acetate for all the various size windows you're going to use. And these are all the parts laid out. I'm going to be building mine as a representation of a depot that was closed when the railway was abandoned, but it was bought and reopened as a coffee shop. So mine will pretty much follow the kit with just a couple minor changes that someone might try to do if they're trying to make a business in an old depot. So I will stop, and that's what I'm doing. And maybe you can go to Bob now.
Yeah, Bob, go ahead.
All right. Hang on here. And I'll do this one, and I'll do this. Come on, I'll try it again. There you go. There's a steeple there. So these are the parts, they're S scale one. And the one I'm missing right now is the gable end is all in the canopy roof supports. But I've since built my own, it was scratch building. And what I'm going to do is do this one as a passenger station rather than a freight type of depot. So I'll find the platform sides here are a little bit high for passengers, so I'm cutting them down, or I already have cut them down, not quite in half, but just make it a little bit narrower or shorter. So that's it for me. These are the tools you're going to need here, by the way.
Clark, are you at a point you want to say something, or have you even gotten yours yet?
No, I have not received the kit yet. Hopefully, maybe Monday or Tuesday it will arrive in the mail, and then I'll catch up fairly quick because the weather's supposed to be crappy. So we'll catch up, and I think my idea at this point in time is to build it as the kit is, and then I may sort of scratch build one using basically the same dimensions and everything into something slightly different. But I will build the kit basically as is.
Cool.
I checked the tracking number. Your kit is in Canada already.
Okay.
All right. So you should definitely get it before the next show.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. Well, as I said, here we don't have delivery service on the weekend. So if it's not here by Friday, it'll be Monday or Tuesday next week. So I'll look for it then, Jeff.
Oh, you don't get delivery on Saturdays?
Oh, hell no.
Oh.
You're lucky. You're lucky you get it on Fridays. It wasn't that long ago. You didn't get it on Fridays either. That was Good Friday. You didn't, Black
Oh,
Friday.
well, if it's a holiday, sure, they're not here. But no, we should.
Mine arrived at a local post office. Took 4 days to get it to my house.
Well, I guess it's a good thing we're not doing this in winter when you might have snow up there.
We don't call it Canada storage for nothing.
So there are clearly two things that we learned today so far. The first is that smaller takes longer. And the second is that, and this becomes a scale comparison where you build a single kit in O scale, it's easy to build the same thing twice in N.
We'll see.
So anyway, I got mine yesterday, and let me go ahead and share here. I took a couple of pictures. I feel bad now because Bob did such a great job of labeling everything.
Yeah, Bob and his arrows.
Yeah, and so I did. I threw them on the carpet in my office after I took them out of the bag while I was on a video conference. So basically, everything came in a bag. Separated it out. You have the shingles, obviously the flooring or decking. Again, the acetate, the windows with the templates. Then there were two separate packages with some smaller components and the strip wood, which I quite frankly haven't opened yet because I'm not at the point that I'm really ready to use it. The larger bag parts had all the walls in it. The two large frames, which are for the supports, where you have the posts out over the deck, and then on the right the cupola and the cupola roof. So those were all in one bag, and then as in the HO, there was another bag that has the kind of thinner cuttings for the windows and the doors, and some stairs here and some stair railings. And actually, I think these are really nice, and I will actually keep them because I'm probably not going to use them because I decided after looking at this I'm going to try to make something that I can actually use. So it's probably going to be more narrow gauge height. So all I've done so far is started off with the decking, trying to do a little work on it, and I really didn't do along the length of it yet. When I now decided I'm going to go ahead and just put beams underneath and put some footings on it, versus having the raised decking around the outside. But you can kind of see that I always think that makes it look a little better. And then because it's we have to do an interior. I think you almost have to do an interior on this size building, or it looks kind of weird just having it closed up. So putting some walls in it, some framing in for the walls. So that's kind of all the far I've gotten. So that's about it, Jim. That's kind of our report for the week, I think. I'm going to go ahead and I think I'm going to do a passenger station. It's probably going to be more Western themed, a little bit narrow gauge because it is so small. I've actually picked a couple of names out on the South Pacific coast to put it as an imaginary station at a real location. And I probably won't use the cupola just because I just can't find very many indications of stations west of the Mississippi that had cupolas. it seems somehow as people moved west, the cupolas stayed in the east.
All right, did all you guys receive the instructions? The three of you?
I did.
I got the PDF. That's all that mattered to me.
Yeah, and it was
Yeah, I got them.
And,
instruction and the templates.
Yeah.
and by the way, comment Jeff was, I would have been really good with just a QR code in the bag to a PDF online. No, I'm actually, from a manufacturer perspective, it's kind of why put all the paper in there? Because, for example, the instructions, I'd probably just put on my iPad and look at them on there as I did the kit. The templates, you may want to actually print out if you're going to use them, but
Right.
But the instructions it's kind of an interesting thought process. I know the kind of the standard is to put them in, but I mean, a lot of things are shipping now without, instructions on paper in them.
What about the
Yeah,
people that don't have
let's
a computer?
Yeah, and let's keep in mind the age of the modelers that are out there right now.
Yeah. I have a bunch of customers that don't have computers.
Absolutely.
I
And
get
then
a check in the mail. They don't order online. Now you have to understand, you guys, you receive your kit just in a plastic bag because I wanted to, get
them
the
out.
orders to you. But the customers, they're getting a regular kit box. They're gonna get it, they're gonna get nice packages.
That reminds me, I forgot my last slide did include showing what the instructions look like, and they are very nice. It's 5-some pages of instructions with photos and diagrams, and then a template sheet that shows where the bracing and stuff goes. And I apologize for leaving that out of my presentation. I was just overwhelmed by Bob's arrows.
That's good.
That's one thing I forgot to put on the template. If you read the instructions, bracing flush on the end walls, but in O scale, is tab and slots on the ends. You're just going to put the angle pieces over it. I forgot.
Yeah, and that's something that I noticed when Phil was showing his, and I think that's one of the most interesting things about showing kits in different scales is sometimes there's different construction based on the size and everything, and the tab and slot on the larger one different than just the butt fit with the corner post on the smaller ones.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, and one of the things you have to consider when you do the framing is how far you hold it back on the wall where you're not at the edge, because it basically provides the bracing. And I had that picture because actually one of the side with the window was actually cracked in the middle, and it just happens. I probably did it because when you burn the laser through, you're burning with the wood direction. It's fairly narrow there, and it's a wide piece, and that's why putting that framing in was really important. Either some sort of blocking or framing.
Right.
So.
Now Clark, he's doing the N scale version. That is awfully small.
That's all right. Bring it on.
Now, in the instructions, I posted a picture on the stairs, the laser cut stairs and railings. That was the N scale version.
Cool.
I mean, you're talking about a 1/4 inch.
Neat.
It's tiny.
Hey, Jeff, can you send me? I did not get the instructions. Can you send me instructions and maybe the tracking number?
You didn't get the instructions?
No.
Check your junk mail.
I think I did.
Yeah, no, email takes 3 days to get there, right?
No.
Oh, that's it.
The Moose delivers it quite quickly.
He's north of Lake Superior. That's going up, so it's slower to get there.
Yeah. Well, let me check. I'll check again the junk, but.
No,
I stand corrected. I found them.
Aha. Yeah, you should have gotten the instructions, the PDF, and then the templates.
Yeah.
For the
Now,
N scale.
the people that order the kit now, Jeff, they'll get the instructions and everything in the kit?
Oh,
that you
they're
sent?
getting, yeah, they're gonna get a completed kit. They're gonna get a nice kit box with all the parts and the paper instructions. Yes, they will get everything.
Gotcha.
And they
Gotcha.
should be start going out tomorrow or Friday.
And you're giving a great discount on these.
Yeah, you gotta learn the 20% is just for that kit, not for anything else you order. I'm getting many people taking advantage. Ooh, 20%. I want to order this and this and this. You know, but
Hey, Jeff, did you build the stairs already?
yeah.
Cool. All right. Actually, I think that's
I
one of
still
the-
left it on. I still left it on the paper. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think that's one of the. I think that's one of the neat,
see
really
it?
neat pieces. Yeah. Oh
That's the
yeah.
end scale.
Yeah. Yeah. Good.
Yeah, that's
Clark, I really like your idea of possibly building the kit as it was meant to be built, and then scratch building a different version of it. I think that would be great for the show.
We'll see. We'll see. As when you sent me a nice email with Chris's info about the end scale, and last week, well, over the weekend, I delivered a healthy kidney stone called Ralph, and and so I was kind of out of commission. So as long as Ralph doesn't want to have sisters or something, we should be good.
Well, that's great. I'm glad you got that taken care of.
I
Yeah.
built a S scale scratch build a depot. I'm going to show my build next week. There's a picture of there. I don't know if you see that or not.
I like that.
So
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah, and I've built 2 N scale buildings so far that both had all of the framing on the inside. Not because they were so big that they really required it. It was more to see whether I could do it or not.
So are you challenging me? Is that what the point is here?
But don't forget, the walls on the end scale version is 1/32 inch basswood,
Yep. Yeah.
where the rest is 1/16 inch bass.
All right. I will,
Thin stuff.
I will, I think my challenge is going to be to build the stairs, never mind the interior. So,
But
But,
the frame underneath the dock, that is out of 1/16
okay.
inch bass.
All right. Well, I happen to have a very big supply of basswood, so no problem. All right. Well, I look forward to getting the kit hopefully in the next few days.
Yeah, you should.
Well, does anybody have anything else they'd like to add?
Just that I'm really glad Phil thought of this, no matter how he came up with it, because I think it's something that I've never seen anybody attempt before, either in live demonstrations or online. So I'm curious to see how it comes out.
Well, I'm really encouraged by it. I think it's going to be great because I do think that it's going to spotlight the differences in the scales. And I think that's important. I mean, everybody knows N is the smallest, O is the largest. But how do you build them? Do you build them the same way? Do you have the same problems? Do you have more problems in certain areas than others? And I think that's the interesting part of it, at least from my standpoint, to try to really emphasize is how it's done in the various scales, and maybe how it's done differently because of the size of the various scales. So with that said, guys, thank you so much for doing this. I look forward to continue this next week.
But I think what the 4 modelers should do is when they finish their building, I think they should mention the size of the building. I mean, the dimensions are given on the website, but to actually see the building, and if there's a way they could take down, the measurements while they're building it, so the people have an idea. Yeah, that's N scale, half of that.
I know. I was gonna say, there's a business card. I could probably build the whole model on it.
Well, Jeff, to that point, I think what would be really good at a representation of that is to get all four of the buildings together after we've built them all so that people could see the difference in scale. So I think if we all were to meet maybe in Las Vegas or something, and I'm sure New Track's budget could afford to send us there, then we can get a good photograph of all four of them side by side.
Perfect. Perfect.
I'm pretty sure we could just take pictures and put them together.
There you go.
Yeah, I think you can scale some pictures too.
Yeah, I think that's in the budget.
Yeah, but I think that would be a good idea, so they could, the modelers could see the dimensions, see the difference.
Yep.
But the dimensions are given on the website.
Yep.
So come on, modelers, order the kit.
Yeah, we're gonna have fun with it. And if you're an N scaler, come on, let's go.
And believe it or not, so far out of the 10 orders, majority of them are HO.
Shocking.
I do have an O scale going to Canada. And
Larry,
one-
is that you, Larry McDonald?
But
which one?
it's really a good potentially 2-car model for a siding that can actually provide some sort of value as a freight building or some other building, or it can be a station. So it's nice model from the perspective that it's not very large and can take a small area.
Yeah. No, sorry, the one from Canada is HO scale, Donald Phillips. I don't know if you know him or not.
Oh, Don, okay, yeah.
Jeff, another N scale tonight. Yeah, just
I think I
ordered it.
forgot to put discount.
Hey, Chris,
Yeah,
you have
you
to,
just ordered now?
apparently you and I should be building full interiors in these.
that's what I'm hearing.
Take off those headphones. Let's not hear stuff like that.
All right, guys, let me go here. Thanks so much for doing this. I really do appreciate it. Well, that's our show for this evening. Now, next time, we've got Motrax Build Along coming back, and we'll find out how each person is proceeding and how we're going to be able to see exactly how they're going to be putting these models together. And then Chris Blackmore is going to be with us, assuming that he gets his computer in operation. Jim Murphy will be back for his build along. And our featured modeler, naturally, is going to be all of you. And I personally am really looking forward to seeing what all of you all are building and what you're working on or have completed. And I really hope that a lot of you will take advantage of this and be a part of that show to show us really what you're doing. So with that said, thank you so much for being here this evening. I hope you'll come back often. And with that, I will turn it over to Clark Kooning, NMMR, for the after show. Clark, it's all yours.
Woohoo! It's the fun part of the whole show. All right. Listen, we got some few people that are new. Chris is fairly new, even though he was yicking and yakking earlier. He's an N scaler, I know that. Jeff Jordan, you're a new guy. At least to me, you are. Dave, you're kind of new. Michael. So
Now, is Chris a Canadian? He seems to know a lot of the Canadians.
no, but he must just like good people.
Oh my God.
Either that or he has no taste.
Believe it or not, Chris is from Adams, Tennessee. The way I know that because he just ordered a kit.
There you go.
My
Hey,
wife has dual citizenship, Canada and US. That's my wife.
Oh, but so she could get stuck on either side of the border.
Yes, she could. I don't know. Can you go across the border right now with the big C word?
Yes.
Oh,
you
you've
can.
been able to go there for a while, but we're picky about who we let in, and it's not till November that we're supposed to open it up or something.
Even then, it costs us $200 to get back to Canada. You have to get a test, $200.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
I heard,
$200.
I heard one of the problems was that there are vaccines in Canada that aren't approved in the US. And so the people that have been vaccinated with those in Canada,
Yeah.
there's a
Some have
question
got half and
whether,
half. Some have AstraZeneca, other ones have Pfizer as a first and second shot type of thing. Those mixtures, they don't let it in the States.
yeah.
I don't think AstraZeneca was ever approved in the US, was it?
No.
But
Like that?
that's
It
all
was-
coming to a head because
Yeah.
the World Health Organization is going to approve a lot of all these cross things. And once that, the states has already said, if they approve it, then we'll okie dokie.
I think the US, I read something just briefly, it said they approved Moderna and they approved some level of cross vaccines today.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
might check the news.
Yeah.
They did.
So,
Yeah, J&J, Moderna, and Pfizer.
but
It's
the big,
kind of evolving on a day-by-day basis between the recommendations and then them saying, well, yeah, okay, we approve of that recommendation.
Yeah.
A little earlier, before the show, you were talking about different clubs and shows and what they were allowing. Here in the Mid-Atlantic, we're fairly vaccinated here, and a few clubs have been holding their regular meetings again. Our club has held a couple of in-person meetings, but we still mostly do our Zoom. But we did have the Timonium show 2 weeks ago, where masks were not required, but they were encouraged. And most people who were there seemed to be vaccinated, even though it was drawing from all over the East Coast. And this coming weekend, we're having our Mid-Atlantic region get together. Martin's going to be up there hosting that. And then in a couple of weeks after that is the Potomac division get together. And both of those do not require masks, but again,
No.
I'm sure some people will be wearing them.
Actually, they do require masks.
The MER region?
Yes, it does.
It does, okay.
As does the one with the Potomac, joint one with Potomac and James River in November.
Mm-hmm.
But I was at the O-Skill meet Saturday, and masks were optional.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's variable. It's depending on whatever the host organization decides.
I believe the Raleigh train show in 2 weeks, masks are not required. Also,
And all the shows here in Minnesota, Wisconsin, masks are optional.
you guys actually have shows out there?
Oh yeah, we have shows. Not quite the Timoniums, but yeah, we have them. I've done 4 already this year.
Wow. I haven't done any shows out there yet.
Come on out. Not gonna have Train Fest this year. That's gonna hurt.
Oh, that I know that's. I mean, they canceled that back in May. It's like, why?
Well, there's a lot of good reasons on that.
There's a lot of good reasons on that one.
Yes.
Yeah, they sent out a letter explaining it pretty thoroughly. It was a great letter because everybody was wondering, and they explained it pretty thoroughly. There's a lot of various reasons and all very solid reasons.
Well, there was an RPM meet that was going to be here last month, and it got canceled at the last minute.
The big problem, and Phil, I don't know if Phil's still here, but one of the big problems with these events is that the vendor, i.e. the fairgrounds or whatever, when you sign their contract, you got to pay them whether you have the show or not.
Right.
And you cannot afford, these shows, people think, oh, it's only a few $1,000s to rent these places. No.
More than that.
I know for Train Fest, their budget for advertising is around $75,000. So how can an organization who basically runs these shows, if you pay all that money, which you have to do almost a year in advance to do the advertising, how are you going to recoup that $75,000 if the show doesn't go on? You're out of business. So there's just, you have to be smart about it. It is a business at this level. It's not just putting on a train show. So
you have, for any of these bigger events, you have about a 4 to 6 month cutoff. And after that, the costs go up really fast because you start locking in both of the facilities, and the problem is, like, I was talking to one of the guys for, I think, O-Scale West, and they have to do, I think it's 1,500 room nights.
Yeah.
So, that's what the hotel asks you to sign up for. And what the hotel is actually asking you to do is to cover those if they don't get booked.
That's just one.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that's the challenge when you get those hotels and you go to the convention or the like they do it out here, or the great trade show at the fairgrounds.
Yeah,
And
it's 3-0 Atlanta.
Somebody's unmuted and talking about Atlanta. So just if you can, kind of mute yourself, and then if you want to jump in, that's fine.
Bill, have you guys gotten any inquiries on how the virtual national went and adopting maybe that more nationwide yet?
When you say inquiries from
yeah,
who?
is anybody asking to compare notes, to build on the concepts?
No, I have not heard from the NMRX guys or people are national at all. None of us have.
Wow.
So I don't know. I mean, and there's really, really interesting questions. This is something, it's not really just an NMRA issue or a model railroading issue. It's a general issue about how you manage virtual and, a physical event. And do you try to do them together? The question that's a really interesting question is 1 and 1 3 or is 1 and 1 1.5? In other words, if you do a virtual event and a physical event together, is the result that neither is as good as it could have been because they had to be together and you can strain them together? So another interesting option, we're talking about this actually for the next convention out here, is you do a physical convention 1 week, and then a week or two later, you have a virtual convention and reuse the content, have the speakers come in and do it virtually for people that couldn't attend the first one, the physical event. So it's kind of an interesting thought process.
It's going to be a gamble for the hosts in any way. It really is. It's going to be an interesting, probably 2 years before we see some kind of resolution.
But the really good news for us as a hobby is that we have one of the strongest, I would call it, physical attachments that you could have, which is layout tours. They're just, so doing a video of one of the things that's really cool now is you can watch a video of a layout before you go see it. So before you walk in the door, you're familiar with it, but you can't replace walking in and seeing a layout and walking around and getting up close and looking at things from different angles you decide on. And I think that's unique for us. You can't replace an operating session digitally, virtually the same way. And a lot of our clinics actually can benefit for, physical hand close up, if you're doing a demonstration of how to weather wood, the great way to do a clinic that's hands-on is bring a bunch of little pieces of wood and pass them out, have some tools and have people practice and actually do them there in the session. In the clinic. So I think that there's a lot of physical value in what we do that can't be replaced with virtual. And I think you've really got to emphasize that to people. On the other hand, we have folks that were participating in virtual events that were never able to participate in physical events, either because of location or other issues. So
I'd like to weigh in on this for a minute. I'm Hank Primus from Atlanta, Georgia, and I'm with the Piedmont division of the NMRA, and I am in charge of their train shows. One which we just had back the 1st of October and was actually very successful. One of the things we had to do was realize that, as everybody was saying, when you have a train show, you take on a risk when you decide to have the show and you get a place to have it. We decided to go with a much smaller show to minimize the risk if we went down the tubes again. Because in 2020, we took a hit for $26,000. That's a lot of money. That hurt us. That hurt us. This time we only had about $12,000 on the line. And thank God, we actually made a profit on the show. We had a great show. We got a lot of people in a new area. I think one of the things that, guys that have shows now have to take a look at as how much am I going to risk on this show and how much am I going to get back? Because if you don't get enough back, it's not really worth all the work having it.
Yep, that's for sure, Henry. And I'm very familiar with the Piedmont division. I know many of the guys in it. I'm not sure if I've ever met you, so that's interesting. The Piedmont division is absolutely fantastic, and it goes in cycles at any division or region. You got a bunch of guys who are really active and really promoting it, and things really go well, and then the next group maybe doesn't do it as well.
Yeah.
But the Piedmont division right now, I think, is just doing fantastic things. You guys had to build along not too long ago, and so that's great. But next time you see Mr. Youngblood and all those guys, you make sure. Yes, Peter is a good friend, and there's a number of other guys. Matter of fact, the Piedmont division invited me down next year to do some fast tracks clinics. So we'll see how that all goes.
Okay, well, I will see you then, definitely.
Yes, for sure.
The reason I'm in charge of the train show is because I'm the new guy and I didn't know what I was getting into.
Oh, everybody else took one step backwards and left you standing out front.
Yeah, and I was trying to figure out why. Oh, I know.
All right, who's running the show now? I mean, who owns the Piedmont division now?
Of the superintendent, it's
Yeah.
Perry Lamb.
Perry Lamb.
Yeah.
I know
Now,
Dave.
also, I want to bring up one other thing. You were talking about looking at layouts virtually. We are having what we call the Piedmont pilgrimage, where we open our houses to our layouts on the weekends. And it will begin on October 23rd. And we have them both, online and also in person, because we're not totally done with COVID down here. In fact,
Henry, what are the restrictions for visiting the layout? Masks, obviously.
Well, the restrictions are basically going to be what the homeowner wants.
Okay.
Because you're having people come into your home. This
Right.
isn't into a stadium or anything.
No, I'm very familiar with the pilgrimage.
And your home is your home. So what you say goes.
Yep.
There you go.
And if you don't want to comply, you just go on or watch it online.
Yep.
But, you'll see some really great layouts there. Unfortunately, mine won't be there because I spent all my time working on the train show. So I'm nowhere near.
That's sort of like working on new tracks modeling here. You can't work on your layout. You're too busy learning stuff.
I mean, I have touched my models for the first time since December. This is crazy.
Hey, Henry, let me ask you something. Can anybody view the layout tours online?
Oh, yeah. In fact, we get a lot of people now coming in to look at them online because it's online. They don't have to travel to Atlanta to do it.
How do I find it online?
You go to the Piedmont Division NMRA website, and I guess you scroll down and there will be a tab for the Piedmont Pilgrimage.
Gotcha. Is it a live Zoom kind of thing, or is it a pre-recorded video? What is it like?
Many of them are pre-recorded videos because they wanted to get them into a shape where they're truly representative and look good. They want to get the bugs out first, so they get edited.
Got it.
It's really nice. Actually, I saw a whole lot of them last year because we did it all virtually last year. But this year, there's somebody's got it right there. Chris Smith just put it up.
How much are you all going to be committed to staying with the partial online versus in person after say 2 years from now?
That is a good question. We are looking at it and we are trying to do the pros and the cons. One of the things we take a look at is many of our members are, it's said, elderly, and they can't come out in the middle of the night up in the middle of the woods for our meeting. So we want to be able for them to be able to enjoy the meeting virtually. But when we do that, we have to improve our equipment to a point where it may or may not be prohibitive. That's something we're working through right now as the board. We're committed to it, but we're not going to go broke on it.
I think that's an interesting point that the board has realized, you got to put some money into this and you got to have the equipment in order to actually produce a Zoom show. But like you say, you can't, you're not NBC.
Yeah, so it's actually worse than that, because you end up having to buy cameras, a switcher, you need to buy a light booth. So and those have to move around to wherever you're going to do clinics from. So it to do it right, it takes a bit of work.
And money.
But the other thing, what we've found is that, so we did a survey, and if anybody's interested, I can provide it. We actually did a survey on Google of the region, and we got about 23%, 24% response rate, which is actually pretty good for a survey, quite frankly.
Yeah.
And, one of the things we asked was about virtual and physical events, and we had a pretty resounding, we don't want virtual events to go away. And what we seem to be getting a pretty strong feedback is, we've typically done quarterly physical events. We'll probably continue to do it at that rate, 4 per year. And in the intervening times, some form of either monthly or that kind of thing, virtual event, people seem to really want it. There are a lot of members who made the comment that they feel closer to the rest of the NMRA than they have for a long time because of the virtual events within the division.
Let me ask you this. Would it be possible for the National to buy the equipment and send it from region to region?
No, it doesn't make
Not
any
really.
sense. Because how are you gonna the meetings are at least once a month. How are you gonna send around to 26 divisions or 26,
I think, though, that the point, Jim, is I think the national, I think everybody needs to look at these things not as an event, but as a continuum for your organization. Yeah. So whether you're a division, a region, or national, you can't look at this as what are we going to do for the next conference? You have to look at it from the perspective of saying, what are the tools we need to capture information either for live or future use? at future physical events. Because you know the interesting thing about this is that other than some photos of contest models, in the past, what happens in an NMRA national convention stays in an NMRA national convention.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
you went and you saw a clinic. The clinic ended. Maybe you got a handout if you happened to be there. But as far as that clinic, I mean, people used to do the same clinic 20 times, 10 times, because people only saw it when you did the clinic. There were only 30 people that saw it. The minute you video record it, it changes everything.
Yeah, but
Right.
even in the old days when we didn't have the pandemic, what 5% or less of the NMRA members went
Right.
to a national?
Yep. And that's why maybe, but again,
So in effect, one of the main selling points at that point, at least for the NMRA, was the national convention and national trade show. So if you convert that digital or virtual, it would seem to me that you've got the potential of covering much larger membership base than you've ever had that'll physically go to a national convention.
oh, absolutely. And I think that, but again, the point is whether you're going to do it live, the virtual event live with the physical event, or you're going to do it later after the physical event, you have to have a set of equipment to capture things at the live event. And again, I think the perspective is, as an organization, you think about what do we need to do that, buy it, but plan on that it's going to last 3 or 4 years, right? So you keep it as something that's a resource. So like at the, we do regional conventions where that moves between divisions. Either the divisions have to use their equipment, or because you got more, maybe that be that the region has it and then it hands off between divisions when they do the regional convention.
Let me ask you another stupid question. Would it make sense for the national to have a quote package that all the regions and all the divisions could buy from the same manufacturer at a huge discount?
Well, that's one thing to take a look at, but there's also another thought. There's a whole business of providing the equipment to put these things on. I ran into this the other day by mistake in a warehouse that I didn't know where I was going. And that's how you find things, But, if you're looking at, do you buy or lease? If you lease, do you go for a certain lease that gives you a small usage, or a lease that goes for a large usage? Like with our division, we do a lot of training. And now that we are doing these on Zoom, or WebEx, we have people coming in from all over the country that want to take the course, which is great because they take the course right along with everybody else. And the instructors say, okay, Hank, hold up what you're working on. And you hold it up to the camera and they take a look at it and they say, well, you want to do this and that, try some of this. And having taken one of the courses, I enjoyed it immensely. And, we have to figure out how much of this do we want to do and how much are we going to spend to try to promote the hobby. Because that's our main thing, promoting the hobby and letting everybody enjoy it. So we're wrestling with it. We're going round and round in our board meetings trying to figure out which way do we go. And it's not an easy question. It's not an easy question.
Let me ask, do you have a ballpark? What would be the cost of getting into this? I have no idea. I'm just curious.
Well, like I said, I stumbled into this place and they showed me for $500,000 what they could do forever. Yeah, that's what I said. Yeah, that's nice. I said the whole NMRA is not worth $500,000. But, these guys do big concerts and whatnot. So $500,000 for them to put on a $2 million concert is nothing.
Yeah.
So it's just
it's all relative.
Yeah.
And you need a relative in the business to help you.
So,
Oh, God, yes.
so Jim, it's basically going to be somewhere $500 to $1,000 to buy the equipment you need to be able to do a good virtual clinic where you're actually demonstrating something. To get a good camera, I mean, the beauty of it is, I don't know if you noticed, if you click on share and you click to advanced share, you'll notice that it says content from second camera. And so you just click on that and it'll bring up a second camera and you can share. So you can plug two cameras in, one on you and one on your workbench, and just choose between them. Now, web cameras are not really great for workbenches because they don't have great focal length. The problem with these cameras is they're designed to focus on your face about this far away. They're not designed to focus up like that, really. So, but you can do the second camera. Then you've got to have, they have a light boost to give you nice light, those kind of light boosts, get one of those. And then you can actually just do the switching in Zoom if you want to. So it's really not that expensive to do. Now, if you want to do it, if you want to do a room and you want to have a camera at the back of the room, you want to have a camera at the side on the presenter and a camera on the desk, and you want to be able to switch between them and capture them and generate a really nice video out of it, then you've got to have some video equipment.
Yeah.
Now it's not, but Jim or Phil, it's not just that. It's also getting people who have the skills to run this.
Right. And yep.
And that, I mean, just look at what you guys did for the NMRA convention. If it wasn't for the practice and the guys coming forward and willing to learn, even new tracks, I mean, we're having trouble finding guys that will help out with the technical end. So I know.
Yeah, no, you're right.
I know the guys in the Piedmont division have a guy named Peter Youngblood who's pretty good at this stuff, and a couple of the other guys. But
I think the other thing that people don't realize, and if you haven't ever done it, you won't realize this. It's actually a lot harder to do a virtual convention than it is a physical convention.
Yep.
Yeah.
So for a physical convention, you just say, "Hey, Bob, you're going to do a clinic. You're in this room at 9 o'clock. Done deal. That's the end of your work."
Yep.
To do a virtual clinic, you got to schedule a time. We did that by Zoom. You got to schedule a time. You got to record. Somebody's got to meet with the person and record them in Zoom to get the presentation, to get the clinic recorded. Then those were edited to put into something you could present, and you have to coordinate all this, right? So you got to, and the level of effort to do a virtual convention, I get it may not be an order of magnitude, but it's between 5 and 10x higher, just to make it work. Physical conventions, and the beauty of physical conventions is, like, you go to get a volunteer, and somebody volunteers and they show up and they've had no training, and you say, "Go stand over that and tell people where to go, and here's a map of where they go. Thanks." You want somebody to work in this stuff, you got to train them for it. And what we found, by the way, when we did the PCR convention, we tried to do it really live. You got to train so many people with so many skills. It's just almost impossible. And it becomes just a tightrope walk to do it. Even the national which was mostly pre-recorded. I mean, all the clinics were pre-recorded. So what was live was the interactions and then the meetings and the social and all that. But yeah, it's a huge effort. On the other hand, the thing that Jim brought up that everybody needs to really think about, if people had understood how cool the national convention would have been and how well it went and how exciting it could be and the social opportunities, I think if you did the same convention next year, you'd have 2,000 people there.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, I think people just got really excited about once they realized this is not going and watching YouTube videos.
I think you'd have much more than that. Because let's face it, you're looking at thousands of dollars to attend a national. You go somewhere for a week, take your family with you and plan to stay and participate in everything and go on the side trips and everything. You're looking at some significant vacation money.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Now,
and
you stay at home and kind of watch what you want to watch when you've got time to do it and this kind of thing and go about your normal day to day. You don't have all that expense.
Well, here's the interesting question. It's a really interesting thought process. When you've gone to a convention, how many of the clinics were really, really important for you to see, and go see them, and why? And then when you say, well, wait a second, you can watch the clinics as a recording, what you realize is you get really focused on the clinics that are with a clinician you want to see and probably talk to. And what we did with the clinic goes on, at the end of the clinic, everybody would go to a Zoom meeting, and the Zoom meetings could last till the next clinic in the same time slot in the afternoon, for example, in the morning. So you went to the clinic goes on at 9:45, 9:50, you didn't have to leave until 1:45, 1:50 when the afternoon folks came in. And there were a few of those that lasted for over 2 hours.
That's
I
true.
think
But
Clark,
go ahead.
yeah, no, and I think that was the thing. It was the socialization that you get. And I actually think it's better than a physical convention.
Well, I'm going to disagree with you there. I really enjoyed the camaraderie. I mean, I got to speak with a guy who I've known for years, Paul Hobbs, who lives in New Zealand. So we got, and yeah, I think you were even there, and we yipped and yacked. So that was fantastic. But there is nothing like a real convention. You walk down the hall and you walk up to Tony Custer, Alan McClellan, and these guys, and you start talking with them, and in person.
And Clark, I would agree. If you've been a model railroader for 30 years, that's absolutely true.
Yeah.
If you're somebody who's
Well-
joined the hobby in the last year or two, the virtual convention was a much better way to meet people.
I don't know about that.
Oh, yeah.
When I first started out, I went to a MER convention. And the 3 or 4 people that I sat down and talked with at length, although it in the bar, gave me all sorts of insights to what I wanted to do and really got me going. So I really like the ones in person. I use the ones that are virtual because I can't go to all the ones in person. So
I don't know, maybe that it's just because we haven't had the physical convention, so we're kind of missing that camaraderie. And the virtual convention is the next best thing. There is no question, Phil. I totally agree.
No, it's that the only good thing about it is, like I said, the idea that the clinician goes into a meeting like this.
Yes.
And, so imagine the end of a clinic, and that clinician gets done, and the next clinic's going to come in. And after 5 or 6 minutes, mobbed by 8 people or 10 people, walks out in the hall, and you're kind of one of the people at the back who hasn't met him, and there are other people are there. You eventually just walk away.
Yep.
90% of the time, people walk away. Now, if the clinician goes to a meeting like this, after a half an hour, those other guys run out of breath, hopefully, and you get the chance to have the conversation that you wanted to have. And I think that to me is something that is just fundamentally different. And by the way, that's why to me, I think this idea of have a convention, take videos of pick out 1 or 2 of the clinic track rooms, take videos in there of the clinics, and then a week or 2 later, have a virtual convention, play the videos with the clinician there, then afterwards have a meeting and have the interaction. And what's interesting about that is, even with the physical convention, if you weren't able to get your question answered, you go to the virtual convention and have the conversation later.
Yep.
I mean, it's just an interesting thought process.
I mean, it's the same thing as what we've been discussing, in our build alongs and stuff. I mean, when I started Mowing with the Masters, that hands-on program for the NMRA, way back, I mean, I had the concept and everything way back in the 90s before we actually put it into practice. And then when we did put it into practice, finally, and I think we could do it virtually. And I know the guys at Piedmont Division have done it fairly successfully. But the hands-on version, there's nothing quite with sitting across from a modeler and actually showing them right there. But the next best thing, I really think, somewhat what we're doing on New Tracks is these build-alongs. And certainly what the hunters have done with their videos and that. And yeah, the only problem again is, as a modeler, I would like to build my railroad. And as Hank or Henry said, Henry, you like go by Hank or Henry?
Well, I go by Hank.
Okay, so like as Hank said, I want to get back to my railroad that I haven't seen since December. And so I get that too. And so, you know, people doing these clinics and stuff, you have to learn a whole new technology. And you know, it takes a lot of time away from the actual hobby. So it's an interesting, it is an interesting dilemma. Now I'm going to ask Dave, are you still on?
Before you start, Clark, I am going to make you host because I have to drop off because I've got another thing at call at 7 and I need to eat something. So you are going to become
actually,
host.
I was thinking we were going to only go a minute. I wanted to see if Dave was still on because he's up in Minnesota. And I was going to ask him a couple of questions as far as the recording goes. So we can stop the after show recording as per your direction, Phil, and then pass it over to me, and I will continue on as we do on the after show, but non-recorded. Or did he just pass it to me anyway?
I think he passed it to you, so it looks like you're still on YouTube.
I have no.
Yeah, you say host, but
Earl, where are you?
He's away from his chair.
Can you kill the YouTube, Ed?
No, I cannot. But if you go to, I think if you go down to the bottom of the screen, you should have something that says about different recordings.
See all the expertise this takes?
Yes.
well, give it some thought.
Earl, come back.
Not only is he away from his chair, but his wife's talking loud enough to kicks up and you hear him.
Yeah, if you give me the host and all that, I can mute him and take care of YouTube for you.
Okay, I will make you. Why have I got this even on?
If you're seeking an authentic Chesapeake Bay experience, hop aboard with Captain Wade. This special island.
Okay.
It changed me.
And
he's been muted at least.
I muted him, yeah. Okay, Ed, you're the host.
I am now the host. Yeah, the thing is when you get onto the screen, you'll right next to reactions it says more, and then it says stop live stream. So we are now